Good morning, everybody. Happy Wednesday. We have an amazing show for everybody today. What do we have, Krystal?
Indeed, we do. We got a fantastic panel for you. Marshall Kosloff, Roger Fisk. We got Brianna Joy Gray on. She's going to be talking about a very simple way to solve this supposed labor shortage. We also have Jeff Stein on. He's going to break down some Democratic objections to the pay-fors in Biden's infrastructure package. And we want to start with infrastructure and really the future of the Biden administration and their agenda writ large.
Yeah, I mean, it was not that hard to predict. And the longer that time goes by in Washington, it is the most precious commodity here. We can generally see that things are beginning to fade for almost any action on an infrastructure plan. So let's put this up there on the screen. Very significant legislative move, Jake Sherman reporting. Senate Democrats are now unlikely to use the fiscal 2021 budget resolution to put together another reconciliation package, according to three of his sources. This is important because it tells us about the timing. The parliamentarian ruled that the Democrats can use that resolution to pass multiple majority vote reconciliation packages, according to Chuck Schumer's office. But let's put the next part up there. They are now going to focus on fiscal year 2022. They can use that budget resolution multiple times as well, and they don't have to worry about a September 30th deadline. But it means the debate over infrastructure could drag well into the fall, which will put a collision path with the government funding and debt limit skirmishes. In plain English, what does that mean? Nothing's happening for a long time. This is Biden's Obamacare. I basically said it from the beginning. I was like, the moment you start all these negotiations and you have this and you let this input and all of that, you're dead. And that's exactly what's happening. Now they don't have to worry about September 30th deadline. It's May 26th. Okay? That's how this government works right now. They're like, oh, yeah.
Really under the gun here.
Yeah, September 30th.
4 months, we can't get this done.
That's in the fall. Okay? And now they're saying, oh, fiscal year 2022. I'll go on the record here. One thing will pass. It will be some weird compromise legislation, 51 votes only with all Democrats. No Republican will support it, just like Obamacare. And actually, I do not believe it will inspire the same amount of political pushback as Obamacare did, but It is an anemic victory for a person who sees himself as FDR. It is total back to normal politics. Definitely sets the stage because there's no real animating reason there in order to vote Democrat in Congress. They will almost certainly lose the House of Representatives if this is the path that we now seem likely. And if you love gridlock, where we're already at, you better party like it's 2022, folks, because it's the Obama times all over again. It's just crazy to see history repeat itself. It doesn't even rhyme. It just is. It's the same thing.
It is hard for me to put into words how frustrating this is, because this is why I was so pissed off when they were messing around with these fake bipartisan talks that are never going to go anywhere. Because it takes a long time to get anything done in Washington, especially when you go through the reconciliation process, which is even more burdensome than the regular order process that requires 60 votes. So if you're not going to change the filibuster rules, if you're not going to overrule the parliamentarian, the very best that they were able to do is Chuck Schumer got this ruling from the parliamentarian of like, okay, you can use the budget reconciliation multiple times in the year. I was like, all right then. Let's do that. That's the obvious thing to do. And then they start messing around with these bipartisan talks, and time keeps ticking and ticking and ticking away. And there is a huge cost for that, because that means infrastructure not happening this year, dragging into the fall and potentially into next year. Then you're into an election season.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you think anything else is going to happen leading into the midterms? Absolutely not. Some of Biden's advisors are already telling the press that they're worried about being seen as spending too much. This whole way of thinking about legislation and what Americans actually care about is bonkers. They don't care if it gets passed with 5 Republicans or 10 Republicans or 0 Republicans. What they care about is what actually gets done and whether they see a measurable impact on their lives. And oh, by the way, your caucus is really freaking old. And if you lose one person in the Senate, you don't have a majority anymore. So every single day that goes by, you are risking a loss of your majority, and then your agenda is completely, fully dead. So just to show you how absurd it ever was to think that you were going to be able to work with Republicans towards some bipartisan end. Look at what Mitt Romney is, one of the most sort of best faith actors on that side of the aisle. He's been working with a small group of Dems on their infrastructure package, their counteroffer somewhere around $1 trillion, way less than what Biden was originally on the putting on the table, which, by the way, was already way less than what he offered on the campaign trail. Do you know how he wants to pay for it?
Oh, tell me what's in there. My favorite tax.
Give you one guess. The gas tax. So instead of lifting taxes on corporations or on wealthy individuals, as some of Biden's plans had envisioned, instead they want to raise taxes on working class people. The Trump tax cuts, totally off the table. The other pieces they want to use are unused stimulus funds, fine, and increased tax enforcement, fine. But to think about, you're going to swap out taxing the rich for taxing the working class? What?
Yeah,
this
smart.
is going absolutely nowhere. And that was clear from the very moment that they started negotiations. I mean, I can believe it because this is exactly what we predicted would happen, but it still blows my mind that you have this opportunity to actually get some significant parts of your agenda passed, which are popular, which people have been talking about since Barack Obama was in office, and you're just completely screwing it up and letting the chances of this slide down the drain.
It's pretty stunning, because if you think about it, I mean, even a month ago, people were like, oh, there's going to be an epic showdown in Congress over H.R. 1. And I was like, yeah, I don't think so. Because all I had to do was look at the calendar. I was like, oh, we got 11 legislative days? That's not going to happen. Then the White House was like, we're going to pass a police reform bill. I was like, yeah, no, you're not. I was like, you've got 5 legislative days.
The anniversary of George Floyd's death.
Already.
That was yesterday.
Then they said they were going to I think they said they were going to have some health care reform, which was going to pass.
On the list.
Oh, yeah, immigration is we always knew that one was DOA, but at least it was performative. Now infrastructure is dead. I mean, from this perspective, this is, again, if you want to think about the Obamacare timeline, Obamacare, when did it end up passing? December? It was Christmas or New Year's? I forget. It's been a long time. But basically they dragged all the way, and they had to keep everybody in the Senate, the midnight vote. I mean, if the White House says fall, then you should go ahead and assume winter, because that's how Washington is. The Senate, reconciliation, committee, then they have to reconcile the two bills. Nobody can come together, and that will very likely be the last major piece of legislation that will pass in the Biden presidency, even if he's here for 6 more years, folks, because that is just how DC works. And it is genuinely crazy, because if you think about this moment, what moment are we in? He had the mandate to do anything. I mean, with the vaccine, the amount of public goodwill that he probably still has over vaccines and checks, and now the child tax credit, which is beginning to go into people's bank accounts. And as people begin to reopen, I mean, you can look around. People are happy. There's energy, at least here back in the city after a long, long time. People capitalize on that. That's what Truman did. That's what FDR did. That's what LBJ did. You know, his was a time of crisis, but you go and you read, same thing with Teddy Roosevelt.
It's a time of crisis right now, too.
Exactly. But, you know, Biden is the first president to inherit such a crisis and intentionally, or maybe not, do nothing. Or at the very least, relative to his potential, just do very, very little. And you could hear this in the way that they're talking. Cedric Richmond, a White House advisor, yesterday at the White House. I mean, you might as well just take me back to 2009 and show me an interview of Dan Pfeiffer or somebody justifying what was happening with Obamacare. Let's take a listen.
Here's where we are. The president came down $550 billion. The Republicans went up 50. Where does that happen in a negotiation? So we're waiting. We're eagerly awaiting a response from the Republicans with a new proposal, how to pay for it, what's their number, because this issue is too important.
There you go.
If you can't get infrastructure done, what are you going to get done?
Yeah.
I mean, has Trump pushed it, Obama pushed it, Republicans claim to support it, there's broad public support. If you can't push that through, or at least get it through in a reasonable manner and at a reasonable amount that's actually going to make some kind of a dent in the massive problems that we have because we've let our infrastructure degrade over decades, Like, what do you think you're actually going to be able to accomplish when it comes to anything that is even mildly controversial? Like, infrastructure is literally the least controversial issue you could possibly pick up on. And even this, they've just completely squandered the opportunity. And oh, by the way, the problem's not just on the Republican side in terms of negotiations. We're going to talk to Jeff Stein about his reporting on this later in the show. But Democrats are also dragging their heels, especially about the pay-fors as well. You've got the head of the DCCC warning about, oh, we can't spend too much because what's going to happen in 2022? You've got what Jeff describes as the SALT crew. That's the no salt, no dice people who are drawing a red line about we got to get rid of that SALT tax cap, which is, again, another, they are looking to make the tax situation better for rich people with that one. Manchin, others opposing a 28% corporate rate. Menendez and Warner disapproving of capital gains hikes on people making more than $1 million. Cindy Axne, who's a representative from Iowa, and John Tester now also worried about the estate tax, the heirs tax. So you have a lot of Democrats who are bad actors here as well and are all nervous about lifting taxes on the rich who have gotten nothing but more and more of a giveaway every single year. You want to claw back the tiniest shred of that, and everyone freaks out.
Yeah, I mean, very little leadership from the White House. The White House was real. Biden, most popular person in the Democratic Party, says, look, no salt, no dice, no vote with me, no dice. You're dead in a midterm election.
Yeah.
Go ahead and try that. But I mean, that's just not in this guy's DNA, and it's just shocking to see what he's come up with. He's basically going to repeat. I think he'll probably, if he runs, I mean, who knows? Right now, he seems generally on track to win re-election, if he wants to win re-election or any of that. But the anemic Obama presidency is replicating itself just one more time.
You know, I don't even really care about the political impact. I care about the fact that on even the most basic operations of government, we completely routinely fail. Right. Like, just the bare minimum of keeping our infrastructure, not even upgrading it, like making it baseline usable.
Hey, what are we at, D-?
We can't even, exactly. Yeah. We can't even get that shit done. Like, that's just taking Biden out because Trump failed on this as well, Obama failed on it as well. Taking all of them out of it, the political impacts and all of that, it's just a pathetic and depressing state of affairs.
That's right.
We're going to tell you what's on our radars. That's next.